Steve, is that you that I can see? Hi, Steve. Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you. Oh, I still can't. Hold on. Is it me? I still can't hear you. Just a second. I'm just checking that I haven't got any things attached to my system. Hold on. No, I haven't.
How about now?
Oh, yes. There we go. Phew.
Yeah,
Perfect.
no, see, I bought myself this big fancy podcast microphone, but getting
Ah!
the laptop to switch from through the day I go from laptop to the headset to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not
I know.
not
Sometimes,
fun.
oh, well, sometimes I just go without because, sometimes the more technical it gets, the more
Yeah,
complicated it gets,
the worse it
especially for
gets.
me. Yeah. Okay. So we can see you, we can hear you. Everything's great. Are you comfortable with the interface? You know how to share and all that stuff? You know what you're doing? I think you've used Zoom before.
I have, yeah. I'm just try to put in my.
Hold on, let me see. I might need to make you, hold on, I might have to change your status so that you're the co-host. Just give me a sec. Let me do that. Here we go. Yes. There we go. Okay, so you're now going to be co-host, which means you should have an option to share now.
Okay, let me try and do that. Just looking for the background I like to use, but. Mhm. I'm going to stick with this as share. Let's
You
put
go down to your video.
this content only share. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just okay. I was just tweaking this one.
Okay, that's perfect. Well, listen,
Oh,
what I'm going to do, so you can see, which is great. I've already got people who are coming in, which is great because they're early, which is nice. So what we'll do, we'll start at 4:30. I'll do a little intro for lots of the people who are going to be present today are already students of EBU, but I'm expecting some people who are not. So I'll do a little presentation, then I'll hand it over to you. You can take it away.
yeah.
And what I did, I sent out to all of our invitees, I sent them a request to join with microphones off and so on, questions into the chat, and then
Yeah.
we'll leave some space at the end for Q&A. Okay?
Very good.
Perfect, great. I'm going to switch off my microphone and my video for a moment so people don't think that we've started, okay? And
Okay.
then I'll open the meeting officially at 4:30. Okay?
Very good. Speak soon.
Cool. Excited? Yes, excellent. Okay, everybody, welcome to today's session of EBU Talks. Great to see so many of you present. Thank you all for being here. I think a number of you will know me already from previous sessions of EBU Talk. Some of you may have interacted with me through emails and things like that. I'm Louise from EBU. I deal in two departments. I do a lot of work with partnerships in EBU, working with different organizations who are working alongside EBU, and I also work in the admissions team. So it's interesting because I often recognize your names when you appear on the screen because I know that I've emailed you. If you are here and you are new to EBU, if you are not a student of EBU yet, I would like to thank you first of all for accepting this invitation, for coming to join us. And I'm just going to very quickly give you an overview if you're here for the first time today. European Business Institute is based in Luxembourg, in the north of Luxembourg-ish. We're in Wiltz, and EBU has been running since 2019. We are a non-for-profit organization, educational institution, and we believe very firmly in offering the best quality education programs that we can for the most affordable and accessible fees. We hope that everyone here is currently enjoying their semester with us. I think the most of you must be part of our certificate programs or our degree courses. So we just want to say a big hello to everyone who's on the BBA course, because you're all in my class. There are some names that I recognize from my BBA class. Thank you very much for dropping in and just saying hello. So I can see loads of people here. I've got Cici, I've got Sarah, I've got Honest, I've got Anatoly. Anatoly, I remember your name from my email. I've got Fatsimo. I've got lots and lots of people. Rebecca, excellent. Thank you all very much for being here today. Um, I'm not going to talk to you for very long because we have a special guest today, and I'm absolutely delighted that this person was available and agreed to come and join us today. So I'm very pleased to be joined by Steve today, Steve Muscat Atsopadi. And Steve has agreed to come in and share his expertise as a leadership. I'm not quite sure how I should define you, Steve, so maybe I should let you introduce yourself. But I'm going to hand it over to you in just a moment. So, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for keeping your microphones on mute for the moment. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of the session. What you can do is put your questions into the chat. Steve, you can let me know if you want to respond to things in the chat. Don't hesitate, or we can save them to the end. You tell me how you would like to manage it.
Absolutely. So, in order to keep, so over here in Europe, it's 4:30. So I'm aware that for anyone else in this time zone, I stand between you and the weekend. So, in order that nobody falls asleep here, I am going to ask you to pop a couple of quiz answers into the chat. Well, not quiz answers, just some things about yourself, which will help me deliver this. So, let me just share the slide and jump into it. Okay, so are you all seeing my screen well? Louise, if you can give me a thumbs up. Okay, very good. Thank you. So, yeah, it's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you all for making the time to join this call, and thank you to Louise and the EBU for inviting me to this to give this talk. A quick word about me, and while I do this, if you could quickly put in the chat, I saw many of you have already put where you are at the moment. If you could put in, if you have at the moment or have ever had any sort of leadership position, just the number of years experience you have as a leader. And I'm aware that some don't have, and that's fine. So just put the number of years that you've got leadership experience. So help me understand what range of audience we've got today. So a quick word about me while you put those in. Yeah, so I'm an author, a mentor, a biker, as you can see from the picture of me there, which I don't like because I don't like posing, but I think my bike looks okay. I'm a speaker, and I help companies, large organizations with to develop a culture of innovation, especially. I've done a few things. I have been hired, I've been fired. I have also hired people and unfortunately had to fire some myself. I've won, I failed, but I learned along the way. Um, my ethos in leadership is that everybody's path is unique. From the background we come from, whether our people supported us or not, whether we had different opportunities for studies, for academic movement. Um, so our path is shaped by that and by our experience, which means what we do with the things that we get to do. And I'm just gonna have a quick look at the chat, see what we've got here. An experience, 10 years. Yeah, running your own business is a leadership position, just to clarify that. Really good to see the range of people here. So from nothing to 7 years, 15 years. Florence in Luxembourg. I happen to have met Florence this week. Super. Brilliant, brilliant. So over the next hour, um, I'm going to talk about why, when Louise and I discussed this, I chose to talk about balance in leadership. A quick word on managing versus leading. Leadership Right Framework, which is the book that I've written, and I'll keep that short, don't worry. Stress versus function, and the decision framework. So some of these are going to be practical tips that you can take and implement straight away. So why talk about balance? If you look just over the past 7 years, and that is not a long time, we have had things that changed the way the world is and operates and the way we think about things. So 7 years ago, I don't think there'd ever been anything that shut down the whole world at the same time. Until then, it was regional or one country due to, could have been health conflict, whatever, but it was more limited. Geopolitical dynamics have been upended over the past years. At the moment, right now, we're dealing with the almost total closure of the Hormuz Strait, which has thrown further chaos into logistics and supply chain. Tech used to be something that supports us in work, and tech has now become the work. Businesses are tech first, and they happen to do something. So if you look at Revolut or neobanks, they have changed what a transaction is. And you've got centuries-old banks that are struggling to try to make their mobile offering halfway as good as neobanks offering. And then there are massive developments on at the population level. So we've got Europe, the United States, and the so-called developed world, which have an aging population and growth at a decreasing rate. So they're still growing, but at lesser rates than before. And you then have emerging economies that have a much higher level of growth, much higher of economic growth, higher rates of population growth, and massive migration of people around the world. And that's just the past 7 years. So, and those are, while some of the things were expected, so population trends, you have an idea of what's happening. So trying to forecast what lies ahead for the next 7 years is extremely difficult. I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't say what the changes will be, but I can guarantee there will be changes that none of us are expecting. And as leaders, we're going to need to deal with them. So the key is to be agile, to be able to move, to flex, and bend over without falling. So that is the reason for this topic. First question for you, if you can pop in the chat, is a manager a leader? So easily you can put a yes or a no, or you can get a bit more creative with something else. Is a manager a leader? Not necessarily. Can be. To some extent, it depends. There's nearly 50 of us in here. If they are both, it's a good thing. Okay, Louise. Yes, no. All right. Thanks for that. So a manager, whoever put not necessarily, is probably the closest to the answer. Um, so if we look at management is the part of getting the basics of today done. So ensuring that what we do as an organization is done. Okay. So if we sell cars, we need to produce cars, we need to have the raw materials, we need to get those out. If we're a services company, we need to process whatever we process and deliver our service to the clients. So that's what the management is, ensuring there's money for the payroll, keeping things running today. Leadership is visionary. It's looking forward and saying, okay, what we do today is produce cars in this way and deliver our service in this way, whether that's a legal service, a health service. The visionary needs to look forward and say, what's changing? What's happening on the horizon? What do I need to change today in order to be where my clients are, where my clients want to be in 5 years' time? Because if I don't start moving today, I'm not going to be there and someone else will be. Either my competitors today or a disruptor who just shot in and surprised us all. And the core difference is you manage things. So a budget, a schedule, a Gantt chart, resources, machines, those are managed. People are led. So you lead people. You want to inspire them with a vision, get them on a mission that they believe in, that they are engaged with, and then therefore they are committed to deliver. And that is when you move from managing to leading. If we look at um, where this is where it could be is, I see management as a subset of leadership. So a leader does many things, and management is one of them. So a manager is not always a leader. So a manager could get the job done, but has no forward vision. So that's a manager. But a leader is also a manager. So they will sometimes go back to ensure that the basic parts we need to get the machine moving today are moving. So leadership extends management, but it cannot exist without it. If you want to take the example of perhaps a car, a manager will make sure that the car, so we use a car for business, okay? A manager will make sure the car is maintained, it's got fuel, the tires are replaced when they need to be done, it's maintained, it's serviced, it's got insurance, and so on. The leader will say, okay, we've got this car today, but what vehicle do I need in 5 years' time? Is it a replacement of the same car? Is it the same car? Or is the world changing and now my clients expect me to have an electric vehicle, or my government imposes on me to have an electric vehicle or a solar powered vehicle? So that's the visionary part, the difference between them. So the manager would just keep this car going forever and replace parts as they expire, but it's going to remain the same thing. Whereas the leader can be visionary, can imagine a future vehicle, but without the manager looking after the basics, he's not going to get to that point in 5 years' time. So the idea is to move from being that mechanical manager to a leader who can map out the route ahead and then connect the two. So what we're doing today with where we want to be, what we're doing today with where we want to be, and keep that connection always moving. Any questions on this part? Does anyone with big doubts? If you can type in the chat. Anyone, if this resonates with anyone, if anyone completely disagrees, I'm also happy to take those. You certainly won't be the first. I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing any in the chat. Seem to have lost it somehow. Super. All right. So I'm now going to jump into the leadership right framework, which is the book I've just written that launches next week. So based on over 25 years experience as a manager, leader, director in financial services, corporate services, tech, regulation, I've advised hundreds of clients in every different industry imaginable and on almost every continent. Um, I've defined four disciplines that leaders work with that are read, internalize, drive, and engage, and they all rotate around the hub of reflection. So I'll go through these quickly one by one. So the read part is reading the road ahead. So the book is a parallel between the skills needed in riding a motorbike and in leadership, but it's very much a leadership book. Um, so if you're on a motorbike, you need to be looking ahead and seeing where you're going, or you're gonna crash. In business, again, before you even start moving, you need to know where you're going. So that's your vision. You need to have a strategy on how you're going to achieve that vision. So what resources do you have? What are you going to put together? What are the people that you need, the budget that you need, and get all that together. Here's a look at risk acceptance, risk management. There's no business without risk. So you need to have a level of risk acceptance. And then it's a matter of how much risk are you willing to accept and is it worth the payoff that it offers? And then managing those risks, which is part of not being blindsided by or surprised by changes that occur. So earlier I mentioned population change. So if I offer a service to people aged over 60 and the population, if that age group in that age group is growing, then my client base is growing. So what am I going to do to get more of that market? Conversely, if I sell to an age group that is shrinking, then my potential market is shrinking. So am I going to try to make my product valid and attractive to people of a different age group? Am I going to go abroad to a different territory where there's more people that age in my target age group? So that's about where we position ourselves. And then focus is something I'm going to touch on later. Internalize is about the leader as a human. So the idea is before you can lead people, you need to know who you are. So it's about having the skills that you have, the skills that you, so the basic skills which you keep on refining, and new skills that you need to learn to keep up with a changing market, changing generations, changing world, changing dynamics. Um, Also the importance of resting. Work comes, work goes. We'll work different jobs and companies in our life, but we only have one life. We only have one body, so we need to look after that. We have a duty to look after that for ourselves, for our team, and for our families. Excuse me. And then ownership is about accepting responsibility for something. Being a leader is a responsibility. So you might inherit a team with problems. It's not your fault. You are not the one who created the problems, but in taking on the role, it's your responsibility to sort them out. So that is the ownership aspect. Drive refers to not driving a car, but thrust. So what connects the power, if you like, of an engine or the power of your team to forward motion. And here the idea is that you can have a perfect plan, you've got a beautiful vision, you upskill yourself, you're ready to go, you start off, and instantly things start changing. So there's COVID and the airports close, or a new product comes on the market that makes yours irrelevant, anything. So there's that idea of managing all of that and having to deal with things as they occur. One key part here is what I call the friction zone. So the friction zone is the so friction zone is in on a motorbike or in a car with manual transmission. You've got the clutch and the accelerator, and between them you balance how much forward motion you have or not. And in leadership, you have a constant set of conflicting um, obligations. So you might have your sales team who want to sell, and they're saying, look, we've got a market opportunity, we've got the product, we're out, we're going to sell. And then you have compliance who say, hang on a second, we can't sell into that country. We're not okay to sell into that jurisdiction. We can't do this, we can't do that. Um, and so the um, leadership is about that constant conflict. So the goal of leadership is to bring all these different imperatives and align them into some form of a direction. Okay, so you're going to have the board or shareholders who are saying you need to do more, you need to do more, we need to do this, we need to implement AI, and you've got your team who are exhausted, overwhelmed, and they're like, but what AI? We can barely breathe, we can't do another project, and you need to find a way to have some forward motion in the right direction. Um, sorry. Um, yeah, so that's about things we
Number.
do, keeping ourselves agile in order to move. Engage refers to everything to do with the people around which we work. So the team in the broadest sense, your own team, your colleagues and collaborators. Um, Leading with a loose wrist means hiring the right people, training them, coaching them, and then trusting them to deliver what you got them to do. So explain what you expect as a result, but allow them the opportunity to do it their way and to surprise you with their results. And then I end with the our responsibility to the communities that we form part of. A key aspect of the book is the power of reflection. So in leadership, you never have enough time or information to take a fully informed decision. So you need to sometimes act with the best you can do at that time. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So sometimes you cannot wait until you have every last answer, every analysis, every possible contingency. So you're going to do things which you will later realize were not the best way of handling something. And the learning value, so the experience I was talking about, is when you can look back at what you've done with humility, with the acceptance that, okay, I might not have done the right thing. Maybe my way was not the right way or the best way, and understand from there what happened. And the idea here is doing micro reflections. So if you have a conversation, how did it go with the other person? Did it land well? Was there conflict? Did you achieve the result you wanted? Does the person look, uh, happy with the conversation or not? So that's about using your experience to become wiser and to inform the way you do things in the future. So the final slide on my book is how they come together. So there are the four disciplines, but they don't work like in a circle. It's not a circular flow. You don't get to read and then learn and then move things forward and then work with the people. You're thrown in a team and there's everything happening at once. The idea is that reflection helps you understand what the problems are, where and what the source of them is. So if you've got an office culture that's toxic, maybe it mightn't be an engaged problem, so with the people, but it might actually be internal. So it's your actions as a leader that are leading to a toxic culture. Maybe you're rewarding bad behavior inadvertently, probably, but that's what you're doing. Uh, your team might be, you know, really they can't do anymore, but you're not moving any closer to the mission. So there's a lot of work being done. Everyone's super busy. They're doing long hours, but you're not getting closer to the vision. So you've got to understand where's the gap between that. Why are we so busy, but we're not getting any closer to the mission? Are people doing the wrong things? Do we have a misguided mission? Do we have absolutely no alignment between what we're doing and our vision? So if you reflect on what you've done, if you invite feedback with humility, then you can start to shed light on where the issues are, and then that allows you to start to resolve it. So in concluding this part, my book launches next week, and as I agreed with Louise, I'll be offering everyone on this call an ebook version at €2.98. I will send the link to Louise as soon as my publisher sends it to me, and she will share it with you. Question answered, Louise?
No, sorry, I was trying to do a round of applause, but I couldn't do it. So
Okay.
I put my hand up. So I was going to say thank you so, so much for that. That's fantastic. So everybody, because I had a couple of questions come into the chat. People are asking about your slides. If you wouldn't mind, Steve, would you share the slides with me so that I can share them with everyone who's here today? And then at the same time, perhaps I can share with them the link to the book too.
Yes, absolutely. So
Wonderful.
just to
Thank you so
confirm,
much.
I'm waiting for the link from my publisher. So I will share it
Perfect.
when I have that. So it's probably going to be next week when
Great. Okay,
I get that.
wonderful.
Thanks. Okay, so we looked at managing versus leading. This next part is one of the big killers of balance is stress. And I'm going to dive into here. I'm going to take a parallel walk into a step away from leadership and into human biology, because that's where stress comes from. So the amygdala, some of you might know, is the what's called the reptile brain. So it's the oldest part of our brain, and it is extremely good at responding to threats. So what that means is that when back in the days of the cavemen, if I were walking along, looking at the river and the sky, and it's also beautiful, and a tiger jumps out from behind a rock, my brain would lock out everything except that tiger to allow me to deal with that threat. And that was very useful then. The problem is that part of the brain has not developed at all, and we still have that brain in our modern office setting. So the two men on the screen, although separated by several thousand years, have the same part of the brain in their head. The problem is that professional stress triggers that same threat. So our brain is not capable of distinguishing the threat from a tiger that's about to eat me versus, let's say, if Louise is my manager and she tells me off in a way that I don't like. It doesn't mean she did anything wrong, but I don't like the way she spoke to me. I see that as a threat. And my brain responds as this is an attack. So when pressure spikes, our body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. And that is what allows people to get out of danger, to jump. When you hear stories of someone who lifts a car or something like that, that's this reaction. What it does is it really narrows the vision. So I can only focus on that tiger, because if I look at anything else, I'm finished. So the problem in business is that if there is a problem, we will fixate on that problem because that's what we're perceiving as the threat. So when we're in business, in any business work office context, we might have planned to, let's say we're a drinks manufacturer, and we plan this year to launch a cola flavored drink, and that's going to be our big hitter. We've put a lot of money into it, we've done a lot of research and development, and that's what we're doing. And then we see that our competitor is launching an orange flavored drink. And suddenly we panic. And instead of sticking with our path of we're doing cola, we've invested in cola, we've got everything ready for cola, we're going to do that. Suddenly we panic, no, 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 we need to do orange like the competitor. And you can imagine that's not going to work very well. When there's a project we've spent months on and versus suddenly trying to flip within a couple of weeks onto something completely different. Um, it could be zoning in on a very granular, tiny detail of a problem, um, and getting fixated on that. So let's say we need to send a letter to all of our clients to inform them of something, and it's important we issue the letter. Maybe we even have a regulator has obliged us to issue that letter. We need to get the letter out. And of course, is a letter ever perfect? You can have the what you think is the perfect letter, sleep on it, look at it the next day, and you think, we could change that word. And then you look at it again later and say, let's change it back to what it was. There's a point where you need to just get it out because you need to get it off. But if you fixate on that, you're not focusing on everything else that's happening out there. So while you're fixating on the cola versus orange problem, you completely you're completely blind to the fact that the consumer market is changing and they don't want sugar-based drinks anymore and they want health drinks, or they're moving towards Europe is having a matcha craze at the moment. So there's matcha stores on every corner. Um, if that's where the market is going, then we need to be moving there, and that's what we need to be looking at. And what are my supply chains? Not a competitor move. So that's that is what stress is actually doing to us in the workplace, and that comes from everywhere, from the way my boss speaks to me, from the way I see things on LinkedIn, and I see everyone looks like a superstar on LinkedIn, and everyone's done this and they've done that, and they even have time to go and climb a mountain in between. And you fixate on all of those and not on what you're doing. So here are three tips that I can share with you to help with focus, to keep you with your eye on the objective, on the game. That's the rule of three, a horizon reset, and zooming out. So the rule of three is very simple. Before you start your day, before you look especially at your mobile, before you open your laptop, messages, notifications, ensure you've got three priorities set for the day. So three things you're absolutely going to get done today. And they might be minor, but they've become big in your mind. So if I promised on Monday, I promised Louise that I'd send her an answer by end of the week. And now it's Friday, it's gone 5 p.m. I need to get it done. So this morning, my priority should have been email Louise. I do it first thing, and then it's off my mind. Only pick three things because more than that, the brain cannot handle. It gets confused, it gets overwhelmed. You don't manage them, and then you feel you have underperformed and you feel disappointed in yourself. You start to get that feeling that you are incompetent or you're not managing, and then it sets you up to fail the next day. So what I do is I do these at the end of every workday. I end my workday by saying what are the three things I'm going to get done tomorrow. And on a parallel, I also do this for my personal life. So I do three things which I'm going to get done tomorrow from my personal side, with family, with sports or movement, with health. That way I've got three work, three personal, and I feel I've got some balance in my life. And keep doing this until it becomes a habit. So find your way of doing it. Some people might wake up and meditate in the morning, and during that period, you understand what your three priorities are, but you can do them. You can do them the evening before. What's important is that you really that you really get those things locked in. And here, look, building habits means that if you don't do it one day, it's not the end of the world. You skipped one day, you get back into it. Just try again tomorrow. It's small. So big change comes from small incremental change. It's called the 1% shift. If you shift something 1%, it's a lot more likely to stick than trying to make a whole massive change in your life. That's far more overwhelming and intimidating. The next is the horizon reset. So stress shows up in our body a long time before we realize that we are stressed. So here again, if you can pop in the chat, how can you tell when your stress level is rising? What do you feel with your um, body? I know, just thinking of myself or some people I've worked with. Some people get red in the face. I had a colleague whose ears would go super red, just her ears. So we could tell she was stressing out, but she couldn't because obviously she can't see her own ears. Um, there are, sorry, headaches, pain in your right shoulder, palpitations, tense shoulders. Um, absolutely. So, sorry, my slides are going a bit crazy. You need to be aware of your own symptoms. So feel them, like listen to your body, and see. With some people, it's clenched fists, and if they're holding a pen, they realize they're about to break it. You might get a tight jaw. Some people mention shoulders, palpitations, headaches, all of that. So the symptoms you're feeling are physical, and the response you need to give is physical. So one is just simply open your hands, breathe, just literally force yourself to breathe. Um, get oxygen in, that calms the body down, restores the balance. Force yourself to drop your shoulders. Wherever you're feeling the tension, just release it. And the horizon reset is actually get up, move around, walk to a window. If there isn't a window, just walk up and down the corridor, walk around your living room if you work from home, go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen and grab a glass of water. Just move and try to focus on something distant. So literally move your focal distance from a screen 50 centimeters away to ideally something outside the window. The further the better. Just give your brain that brace. You only need 30 seconds, 60 seconds of this, and it's enough. And then you go back to it. So you get an email that upsets you, do this. Even if you're in a meeting where things aren't going your way and you're stressing out, you're priming yourself to fail because you're allowing the chemical response in your body to win. So you just need to calm yourself and just, you know, that famous count to 10. It needs a bit more than 10, but breathe, and you restore balance yourself and you gain control of yourself and you move from a stressed panic reaction to strategic thinking. And then you act in a way that's more aligned with your own values so you don't, lose it and shout at someone, which is probably something you wouldn't normally do. But you also move things along in the direction that you want towards your vision and mission. And the last tip is to zoom out. So zoom out is literally like in a camera, you can have either a close view or you zoom out and get in a bigger picture. So there's a couple of examples on the screen, but really it is from fixating on a point, just zoom out a bit. So if you're stuck on a detail, ask yourself, how important is this to the vision, the mission that we have? So think of your vision as a broad arrow that guides everything else you do. All right. So you need to have a vision that is realistic, not pretty words you can put on a wall or on your website. It's about what you really plan to achieve. So you cannot be everything, right? So you can be the most low cost supermarket, or you can be the fine delicatessen where you've got things that are a lot more expensive and are not finer, but you cannot be both. All right. Um, Not under the same brand anyway. Um, so everything you are doing, just ask, how does this impact the direction? So earlier I mentioned someone who's stuck on a letter going out to the clients. That one word you're not happy with in the letter, does it really impact what you're trying to do over the whole year? No, get the letter out. Yes, it impacts it, then let's stop and think about it. Um, so the idea is just to zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. If you've got continual issues, so you have a problem, you keep getting the same problem, then you need to understand what's causing the problem because you're wasting all your time tackling that issue. But you need to find out why that issue keeps happening all the time. Is it training? Is it procedure? Is it your resources? Um, you know, sometimes you don't. I've been in a company where we didn't replace a printer, but it was causing so much hassle and wasting so much time. Um, it it far outweighed the cost um, of the printer. So those are three tips that can help you with managing stress. There's obviously many other things that you can do, but these are three which I've chosen for this to um, just to have something you can start doing. I'm just gonna quickly check if there's anything.
We had a couple of
Yes,
questions
Louise.
we
Yes,
could
Louise.
put them at the end because there was a really interesting question, but I think
Okay.
it's quite broad, so I
Okay.
thought we could save it
Okay.
to the end. I was all
Okay.
right.
I'll just respond to yours, Louise. It is a visual horizon, yes. You literally
Yeah.
want to change your field of vision from here to my laptop to at least the end of the room, the end of the corridor, or outside the window.
No, that's fantastic. I understand the idea of trying to um, get perspective like in your mind, but it makes complete sense that by changing your visual horizon, then that must help you to unlock that limitation that you have
Yep.
internally, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So we are approaching the last portion of the talk, and then I'll move on to a Q&A where I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. So this is a decision framework. So the not surprising reality is that managers are normally quite good at taking routine decisions because the options are limited, because the risk is low. It's something that they do routinely. So they know, they have the answer. The problems start when there are new situations, maybe complex situations. So one decision is going to impact multiple parties. It's going to upset some clients, but we might be new clients. So these are more difficult, or could be people problems. So I need to have a difficult conversation with Louise. I'm not sure how she's going to take it. So it just starts to get more and more difficult. Uh, some delay. So, example, I've got to have an awkward conversation with Louise. I think it's going to go badly, so I find it easy to not do it today. Let me leave it till tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'll leave it till the next day. And then, hey, it's Friday, let's leave it till next week. And meanwhile, there's this issue that's festering and growing. If Louise knows I need to speak to her, she's there worried because I haven't spoken to her yet. What's it going to be? Um, Others simply hope the problem will go away, or someone else will take the decision, or the client will stop asking for that difficult thing that they want, and so on. Not surprisingly, that doesn't happen. There's something called the rule of 10, which means if you don't tackle a problem immediately, it's gonna cost you 10 times as much to sort it out. And sometimes it's a lot more than 10. So let's say I get a client complaint today, like a really angry client, and I don't respond to it. I don't deal with it. I don't talk to the client at all. And I'll say again, yeah, I'll respond to them tomorrow. She can't wait. So she goes on my website or on some review website and leaves a horrible review that's out in the public domain. So now instead of having one angry client, I've got a public relations nightmare. I've got my CEO or the shareholders asking me what on earth I'm doing, and I still need to respond to the client and sort out her problem. So this is where a lot of managers create problems for themselves by not jumping on the problem and extinguishing the fire the second they see it. So here, I'd like you to think of a current decision you're facing right at the moment that's new, or perhaps a recent one. I'd like you to put in the chat how critical is it? So one is low, it's not that important. Three is top importance, it's gonna impact the business. And then yes or no, do you have a plan to tackle it? I'm seeing Louise thinking over there.
I've got so many problems, I can't decide which one to choose, in fact.
Just think of one which is complex, different, new, which is making you pause because you don't have the answer instantly. So the consequences of delaying decisions, I'll come to that. That's a good point. Okay, so if we have a critical, so this is what I call a triage table. Triage is prioritization, basically. So when you have a problem, you quickly filter it. Like triage comes from emergency services in a hospital. When someone walks in, or 10 people walk in at the same time, they need to see who to tackle first, which case is most urgent. Um, so as managers and leaders, we need to do the same thing. We get 10 problems at the same time. We need to see what we're gonna spend our time on. So a critical issue would be something that jeopardizes the company. So for whatever reason, maybe suddenly we're seeing we don't have money to pay our salaries end of the month. We're an airline system and our booking system went down. A top client is leaving. Um, over here, the response I can do this on chat, but I'm not getting that many responses, so I'm going to just run through with it, and that way we'll have more time for Q&A. As a response to a critical problem, you need to jump on it yourself. So you stop what you're doing, that's your priority, you pick it up and you handle it. All right? It's too big to leave to other people, possibly. The next level would be it's urgent, it's a big problem, but it's not going to jeopardize the company. So might be a scheduling problem, supplier isn't going to be there on time, a lot of people are sick on the team and you need to figure it out. Over here, um, I wouldn't handle it myself. I'd delegate it to the next person down the line and just ask them for an update. Obviously, it's going to depend on the size of your team and the hierarchy that you've got. But if you're a leader with people that report to you, you should not be looking at scheduling. It's someone else's problem. Get them to do it and get them to give you an update on what they've done. Everything else is just noise. Okay, so these are the low priority. So internal politics, small formatting issue, getting lots of emails that you don't need to be on, you know. So these either just ignore them or schedule time to handle them later. If one of these occurs and you drop everything to handle it, you're wasting your time. You're not spending your time. And if you do that, you're not going to be able to manage the next level up or the top critical problems. All right. So to see the full table working up from the bottom, if it's small problems, ignore them or leave them for later, schedule time in later to tackle them. If it's a bit more important, get someone to manage it and keep you informed. If it's top urgent, then you need to run it yourself. That is what I meant about leadership going back to being a manager. This is where you go and manage it yourself. It's too big to let someone else do it. And just to add a bit more complexity to this, Leadership is all about the context and the situation that you're in, right? So you need to be aware of the situation that you're in. You need to be aware of how you are. If your team is very experienced, you might allow them to do more things alone. So in the critical things, you might leave some things to them because you know that they can tackle it. Especially if you are a CEO, you cannot manage everything yourself. So you do need your directors and department heads to do something. Um, if your team is much less experienced, they're very new, you've got junior members, you're going to expect less and less of them. They still need training, they still need coaching. So you need to help them along the way and be more cautious with them. Um, and the point of the image on here is you see that if you enter that road from the side of the text, the shortest way to be to cut a direct line up to where the road exits at the top of the page, but it is a mountain, so the road cannot go straight up, right? We're not, it's too steep, we can't do it. So we go east, and then we turn and we go west, and then we go east again, and then we go west again. And that is how leadership works sometimes. You're gonna go in the opposite direction to where you need to be going for a short period of time. And this is the context, being aware that in order to get your broad vision, you need to do something else. So this might mean you stop focusing on sales for a while because you need to consolidate. So let's say I I don't know, I've got some online service. So clients come and they pay and they get it delivered and so on. So my aim is to get more and more people buying my service online. Let's say I realize that I'm actually losing money per client. It's costing me more to service the client than what I'm getting from the client. So at that point, I need to stop and reorganize because every client coming in is hurting me. It's killing me. So I need to first get my act together, see if I need to increase the price or can I service more cheaply, and then I continue selling. So sometimes I need to go in the opposite direction. I need to sort of put the brake on the sales, even though my broad vision is to make more sales. But in order to get there, I need to fix what I'm doing right now. So that means pause, and then once that's fixed, then go ahead, full speed ahead. And these bends and twists in the road, as you're seeing there, those sometimes are mistakes, which you will make as a leader. And this goes back to what I was saying about reflection. Maybe the next time you are able to do a shortcut between these loops. But this time, the first time you're doing it, go for it. If that's what you're seeing as the best option, if you have time, ask people around you for their view, for their opinion. If you don't have time, you need to go with it. But always assess how did that work? What went well? What didn't go well? You did something well, replicate it. That's part of your success formula. Something didn't work, be aware of it. So earlier we had an example where I've had to speak to Louise about an awkward conversation. Afterwards, I need to see how did that conversation go? Did she come out of there feeling okay? She understood what the problem was, she's engaged, she's committed, and she's happy to keep on working? Or did I crush her? And I've lost her completely. So zero motivation, zero interest, just, yeah, yes, sure, Steve, yes, sir, no, sir, three bags full, and just get through the end of the day. So that brings to an end my talk. I have tried to keep it within the allotted time. So I'm happy to look at some of the questions we have.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen. You did. You timed that absolutely perfectly, which is great. So yes, there are a couple of questions which come, not a lot. So
Yeah.
please, everybody, if you do have any questions, please, now is the time. Please go ahead and put them into the chat. There was one which I saw from Florence. So Florence, this is quite a broad question, but let's go.
Mhm.
Florence is asking, how can you distinguish between what is a temporary setback or a sign that it's time for a major change?
Haha.
Can
How
we
long?
tell the difference? Can we tell the difference?
How long do you have? Um, okay. If what you're doing gives you satisfaction, you're in the right place. If you dread waking up to go and do what you're doing, you're in the wrong place. So it's really that simple. So you might be, not just to take the career side, but you might be volunteering with something. So you're not actually getting paid for it, but you enjoy doing it. You get an innate satisfaction out of doing that because you're helping people. Then it's the right thing. You should keep doing that. Conversely, you could be doing a paid role that gives you very, very good financial benefits, but it's killing you. Either health-wise, because you're working, I don't know, 20 hours a day, or you've got a massive amount of travel, for example, so you never get to see your family. Um, or you might be being asked to do things that are misaligned with your values, and you do them because that's what everyone in the market does, but you don't sleep well at night. So that might be it. Um, so I would say, this is something where, I mean, this is something of the things we do. This is something where I work with people, doing different exercises and activities to help people evaluate how aligned what they're doing is with their values, with their life goals, with what they want to be doing. Because the problem is, it's all too easy to start doing something. Maybe the opportunity looks good and it gives a salary, so it's okay. I can pay my loan or my rent and I can get by. Um, but then time passes and I keep doing it, I keep doing it, I keep doing it. And then if I look back, 5 years have passed and it's not what I wanted to do. So although the opportunity seemed good when I joined, now it's really gone in a different direction. So I need to say, is it ever going to get me there? Is what I wanted to do still relevant to me? Or is the stability more important? So I can't really answer it on a better than that. So I hope that um,
Yeah, actually, you've given me a clue. I was in the middle of so many things like health-wise, probably you're not stable. And then volunteering, it's like you're gaining nothing. And then when you volunteer, it's like you're taken to be a beginner or you're just from school. You're in the confusion part of it. And then financially, you're not stable. And then it's like, will I hope, you keep on hoping, can I stick over here? Probably I'll get something better or bigger, like go back at what I was. So the employment is not satisfying. It's like, it's not what you exactly what you expect to be.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm like, is this the right time? Probably that I should change a career and I do something that rhymes with what where I should be. Or so. Thank you very much for answering. At least, I've got a clue. Thank you, Steve.
you're welcome, Florence. And look, the reality is that sometimes we want something better, something different, but we might need to put up with what we're doing today until we achieve that. That's a reality. I've certainly done it myself, where I knew that I wanted to leave a situation or a role, but I also knew I wasn't ready to leave right then because I've got a family, I've got bills to pay, so I didn't feel, I felt I would be more comfortable continuing in an uncomfortable place than to leave with nothing else in hand. And then later in life, where I was more financially stable, I was able to just drop something and just walk away and craft my own thing. So yeah,
I love that.
it's difficult. So I'm just trying to quickly look through the Questions here.
There's a great
I don't know.
question.
I don't know if
There's a
there's any particular which you would like me to.
Well, it's a great question here from Honest, which she posted. No, she. I'm sorry, posted at 17:08. Are there specific strategies you recommend if we find that our essential daily tasks naturally exceed that limit? I think this was the rule of three. What do you
Okay.
do if you have
So,
six or
of
seven
course.
things?
Okay,
What do you have a
obviously.
strategy for
Okay.
this?
Very good. So obviously, everybody has more than three things on their to-do list. I'm saying pick the three things that you're absolutely going to get them done, and they're not gonna take all day. So you then have time left to do other things, but those three were the three top important things that you had to do. My point of that was if you don't have those three priorities in mind, or ideally written down, what happens? You open your phone, you see an email, so you start on that and you reply to that, then you grab a bit of breakfast, and then you go to do something else, and the day goes by because we have a notification from email, from Slack, from Teams, from WhatsApp, from Telegram, from. And it's easy. That's why there's a notification. It's like, look at me, look at me. It's screaming for our attention. And so we do those. And the day goes by, and then you're like, but I promised Louise I'd give her an answer yesterday. I didn't give her the answer yesterday, and I didn't give it to her today. I'm losing credibility. Louise is now, if she's a client, she's looking elsewhere. She's getting quotes from other people. So I need to get her that fee proposal. So that's why like that's a priority. I need to get that done. So that's where it fits in. Yes, clearly we have more. If you're trying to do 200 tasks in a day, just stop. It's not going to happen. Like be realistic. So telling yourself you're going to do 200 tasks in a day is not going to happen. You're going to stress yourself out and you're going to feel incompetent because you didn't manage to do them. So keep it realistic.
I was just thinking, as you said that, I was just thinking the key here is be realistic about what you can do, right?
This is back to that triage.
Yeah.
Look at every the amygdala makes us that response threat I mentioned earlier of the cavemen makes us treat everything as critical, as top priority. And that's the nature of everything. On social media, everything is top urgent. This is the next most everything. It's not true. It's not true. So you need to classify. That really is important. That, not so much. And that one, you know what? Not today, not tomorrow, not this week. Like if I'm quiet in summer, I might look at it then. But I'm happy to leave it rot until possibly that then becomes worse, and then it becomes something I do need to deal with. But then it's earned its priority level. But you can't take everything from the bottom shelf and put them on your top priority. That's the mistake that we do because as humans we're built to do that.
Fantastic. I feel like there's a couple
Yeah.
of questions which have been
Yeah.
asked in the chat, which are I feel like you've answered in that question. So
Yeah.
if it's okay, I'm going to skip forward to uh, Joash. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Joash got a great question here. What would you advise to a leader who reports to a board or to administration, but that doesn't act swiftly when it comes to making decisions because it can lead to a low morale on the team if there is indecisive management? What advice would you give to a leader who is
Yeah.
slow to react?
So if I'm speaking to the leader, they need to react faster. If it's the board that is slow, and I have worked in scenarios exactly like this. It's very frequent in regulated industries. It becomes very hard to change things because, um, like I can use, the EBU as an example. In order to get their courses certified and accredited, they need to show them to the ministry who approve them. Now, if they want to change one module, even if they spot a mistake in it, they have to go back to the ministry and tell them how to change this. Can it be okay? Do we okay? So it becomes hard to change things. So you have to end up saying, listen, let's keep a wish list. And when we have 10 of them, then we'll go and we'll get the big changes done all at once because it's going to be more efficient than trying to do each one or we need to hire another two people just to be on top of things, and it doesn't make sense anymore. And I hope, Louise, you don't mind me using that example. Let alone with a bank or with a hospital or a nuclear facility where there's more things. Others is just a matter of size, where it's just big and lethargic. What I would suggest is now that you know about those critical levels, try to push it up their critical list. So explain the problem in their language. So, for example, if your initiative is going to help with efficiency and you're going to save 5% of expenses, the CFO probably wants to listen to you, but the sales manager couldn't care less, right? The sales manager, the sales director, they want to sell. They don't care about your 5% efficiency, with all due respect. So you need to find a way to say, how does my 5% efficiency help her team to sell more? So then when you go to the sales director, you're talking about how you're going to help her to sell more. And now she's on your side because she wants to sell more. So you need to find the language that you're using and the same idea, the exact same initiative, you might need to describe it in different ways to different people because people are interested in what's in it for them. And that is when they're going to get buy-in. So if you tell a sales director they can increase sales, they're going to be the ones speaking to the board and fighting on your behalf. So you want to find someone to champion it. So for whatever change you're doing, try to find someone who's most impacted by it and get them to help you pull the fight and move it up on the um, on the agenda. Um, Other times, look, this is difficult. I once ran a team where a unit where we had one team that was losing money badly, and I could see it. Um, so I was asked to run it, and from the first day I looked at it, I was like, this is bleeding here badly. Um, I told them, okay, the only way to work this out is we need to hire someone to really help do this, bring in the clients, service the clients. Um, they refused to put any more budget on it, so we couldn't. So the few clients we had, we couldn't service. So we ended up losing them. We had to refund some of them. It was a disaster, but it took 2 years of that bleeding before I could get them to agree, yes, we need to shut it down. So I spent 2 years giving them a monthly report and then a quarterly bigger report and then annual, like something I was literally hitting them on the head with. This is bad business. We're losing money. We're losing money. And then there was something they wanted to do, and I said, haha, if we stop wasting money here, we've got money for that project. And then that made sense to them. So that was the moment where it came. So just keep up the pressure. I hope that helps. Another good one, how do you handle failed business without losing your vision? Look, what it means is that didn't work, you know? Um, you learned a lot. I'm sure you made connections with people. You've expanded your network. You've learned a way not to do it. And maybe sometimes the problem with failure is not when a venture fails. It's not the idea is bad. It could be the timing. It could be where you are. Um, like Zuckerberg has just announced last summer the new glasses, VR glasses that they've got. Now, Google Glass came out about 12 years ago, but it failed because the world was not ready for people to put ugly glasses on their head, on their face, that are seeing everything. Now, the world is much more used to wearable tech. Everyone has a smartwatch. We've got clothes that can tell the muscle movement and so maybe now is the time for it. So it could be it was too visionary for its time. Um, so I would say if your vision is still in that area, look at it again and identify a problem that you can solve. So you need to be solving a problem. And I'm not saying you didn't with whatever failed, but I can come up with something that is good, right? Let's say an accounting software package. And it's a good one. It's genuinely better than what there is out there. It doesn't mean that accountants are going to switch to my software because switching software is a massive headache. It's expensive. You have to retrain people, and an accounting business is built on its software. So for many people, it's not going to be worth changing. Accountants end up changing software when the provider stops supporting that product or it goes out of business. Then they're like, okay, no other option. I've got to change my 20-year-old software to something better. So you need to be solving a problem that makes people make the jump to your product. So I would say look at what you won from the failure. Um, I've got man so many failures behind me, but move forward.
I've got you made me think of something from a very old English class that I used to have, which is talking about failure. And somewhere I've got a link to a video of Jeff Bezos in an interview, and it's about 10 years ago. It's a few years ago, and he's talking about all the different failures that he had at Amazon and how he dealt with them. So to Techno, who asked that in the chat, Techno, if you let me have your email address, I'll try if I can find the link, I'll drop it into the chat because it's a really interesting conversation. It's quite nice and refreshing to hear these hugely successful people, including yourself, Steve, talking about failures that we've had, and how we have to keep moving forward and we have to move on. I wanted to have a look at go
I
down.
have more time. I'm aware we're long past time, and I don't want to hold anyone from their
I
meeting.
know, that's what I
I'm
was thinking.
happily, I'm
Yeah.
happily to sit on another 15 minutes and tackle questions entirely up to you.
Okay, I can start. Let's take one more. Let's take one
Okay.
more. Let's go and have a look at I'm going to skip over who is it? Melina, I think we've covered that question already. Jacqueline, we talked about this already. We talked about delaying decisions is the times 10. That's what Steve was explaining. Something costs you 10 times more the longer that you leave it. How about if we answer, let's have a look.
Here's one quick one. Let me just do this. Is
Go on,
from
go ahead.
Kimutai. I hope I've pronounced that right. About branding, for instance, the name, does it have any impact? Like here in our country, people always categorize your business based on religion. Um, yes, clearly, the name you choose makes a big difference. I would suggest try to find the most neutral term. Um, sometimes a word is fine in one language, and it means it might be a very rude word in another language. So you've got to change the brand for that market. But yeah, definitely don't do anything that's going to cause you obstacles. So if religion is important to you and you're going to actually go for those as your target, then yes, by all means, name it something linked to that to make it clear what you're doing. If not, be neutral. Call it by your own name or something. Just solution for managers getting a workload. I'm afraid I don't understand that one.
I think you dealt with that one, Steve. I think we were talking
Yeah.
about, prioritizing, and as you said before, being realistic about what you can achieve and so on, and that idea of prioritizing. So I think we've probably answered that one. How about Gracia's message here? She was talking.
Multitasking.
Do you see that one, Gracia, at 1733? What
Yeah.
do you think about multitasking?
Okay. So, like you, Gracia, thanks for asking this. I don't believe humans can multitask, right? Unless something like I can sit here and drink a glass of water, but they're not using the same part of my brain. What we can do is exactly what you're saying. We can do 10 things badly or one thing well. So multitasking means we're moving from one thing to another, and that in psychology is called context switching. So imagine you are at work dealing with one issue, and you suddenly get a colleague who comes near you and starts talking about something different. So your mind would have been looking at, let's say, a document that you need to review. So someone prepared a document and you need to read it or analyze it or correct it or proofread it or whatever. So your mind is deep in that document. Your brain has zoomed in on that. That's what you're working on. And suddenly someone comes along and asks about vacation leave. And your mind has to go out of that onto vacation leave, open a calendar, look at that takes time. That's a load, and the brain slows down by doing that. You then tackled the vacation leave and you go back to your document, and your brain is like, where was I? What was I doing? You need to get back into it. So the more you can reduce that context switching, the more efficient you are going to be. And here, this comes down to boundaries. Now, this is going to vary hugely for every one of you, depending on your culture, depending on your level within the firm, and what you can get away with, and the work culture within your company and within your country. But for myself as a leader, I would allow my team, and I've had, I mean, at the moment I'm solo, but when I've had teams, I allow them to wear headphones in the office so that they can focus in on something, but then I don't let them wear the headphones all day. I don't want them to be completely absent from the team, if you like. Um, and I get them, even with hybrid working, try to do the deep focus work when you're working from home or remotely, where you can really deep dive. Like sometimes I switch off. I literally, if I go to a document, I put it here, then I turn off the Wi-Fi, so nobody can disturb me. And I'm just going to go in on that and do it for hours. Like I wrote a book over the summer. I was blocking off 4 hours at a time so that I could really do a deep dive into it, or I was getting nothing done. Other times I'll say, okay, I need to do 1 hour focus on this and just block off 1 hour to do that and don't let anyone disturb you. And you need to tell people because it's gonna sound rude. If I come and put on my big cans, it sounds rude. So I'm gonna tell people, listen, guys, when you see me with the cans on, it means I'm focusing. So please, when you see me take them off, then approach me with the issue. Unless the building is burning, please leave me get doing what I'm done. And everybody at every level needs to create those boundaries for themselves. So if your boss is making you multitask, explain. Say, listen, I can't get all these things done jumping from one to the other to the other. So there will be times where you need to, you know what I mean? There's a deadline, or I've been in offices where the courier came every day at 11 o'clock. So the things we needed to send out had to be done by 11. So that had to, sometimes you need to. But if you're doing that all day, you're wasting time. So try to find your way of creating boundaries.
Sorry, this is Gracia here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, so thanks for answering my question. The reason I asked is because so I'm an executive assistant. So people think that you can do 10 million things at once all the time, but I genuinely can't. So so when I work from home, I'm more productive. There's nobody bothering me, there's nobody interrupting me. But when I'm at the office, it's an open plan office. The minute they see you there's always something that's urgent that they need to do. And they come and ask you, but I just now when people come to me and I'm busy with something, I will look at them and say, sorry, I need to focus on this and get done, and then I'll get back to you. Sometimes they look at you like you're insane, like you're not helping me, I need you now. But then I've had a lot of like, yeah, but you're a woman and you're an EA, you're supposed to be able to multitask. And I'm just like, I've never believed in multitasking. I don't think it works. I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's possible for anyone to be able to do that. So I just wanted to get your perspective on it, because like now I know I'm not crazy and I don't have a disability.
No, you don't. Listen, look up if you really want to get the message across, look up context switching online.
Yeah.
And get a paragraph or a couple of bullet points and use that in your argument and explain to people, like I'm saying, if I approach Louise to talk to her and she swats me off, yes, I'm gonna think she's rude. And if she's my manager, I'm going to think, but I'm meant to come to you. What do you mean you're swatting me off? If we have a talk where she says, Steve, this is the way I work, right? I cannot have 10 people coming to my desk all the time because I get nothing done. So everyone has to find their way. I worked with a colleague who used to give like opening hours to her team, which I thought was a bit restrictive, but that worked for her. I work with the headset. If you see me with the headset, just please don't talk to me. I'm busy. I'm elsewhere. When I take them off, I'm all yours. And then I make it a point to go around the team. So I'll go and say, is there anything you needed? Because then I'm aware that I might seem as distant. So I go around and invite anything I can help you with, anything you need done. Do you have anything pending with me? And so on. And give them the chance to say, actually, yeah, I gave you something 2 days ago and I need a signature on it. Okay, let's find it and sort it out. And I'll allocate in my time, in my day, I'm going to allocate an hour of this stuff. But you know what's going to happen, so allocate time for it.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I love that, Steve. Time's marching on, and I'm aware that we've
Yeah.
kept people for a long time. So what I would like to do, if it's okay, everyone, I'll take your questions from the chat and I will put them to Steve. And then if Steve has 5 minutes, I'm sure he will share some answers with us. But Osama has very kindly given me the nudge to ask you about the book launch. And can you tell us what it's about? And can you tell us how we can get hold of it?
So the book, I won't spend much more time on it again. I mentioned it earlier. I tried to make it so the three principles of the way I see leadership is one, that leadership is a waypoint, not a destination. So when you become a leader, you have not arrived. It's always you can do more. So much like a motorbike rider can do the same corner every day of their life, and every day they do it a bit smoother, a bit more fluid, a bit more in control. In the same way, we can lead through the same situations a bit better, a bit wiser, a bit more aware. Two, that leadership is elevating others. So I'm very much about putting other people first, putting the team first, helping the team to develop, helping them to give them the support and the direction that they need, but then allow them to go, let them make their mistakes, support them when they make their mistakes, and allow them to grow. And then as a leader, I shine through my team being amazing. And the third is authenticity, which means being aligned with your values, showing up at work as yourself. It's impossible to split the human from the role. You know, if you hire someone, you're hiring a human, not an accountant. The accountant is a human first and happens to be an accountant. So that's the ethos of the book. Yeah, it's sprinkled with practical tips like the 3 tips I gave earlier. And also, every chapter ends with a reflective exercise to help the leader examine themselves in that context. And the idea is that the same person could do those reflective exercise every year of their life for a 40-year career, and the questions remain valid because their answers are going to change. So when someone is a very new leader, it's their first management role, the first time they've got a supervisory position with people, they've got one set of problems of moving from being the expert, the one who knows how to do it, to suddenly, I can't jump in to fix the problem, but I need to help my team learn how to do it and how to do it well. A couple of years later, they're going to have done that, so they have different situations, and then you move up more, you have different situations. It becomes more outward looking, more just not just on the team, but the team vis-a-vis other colleagues, other units. And then maybe you get up to be a senior manager where you're now responsible for multiple teams, each with their own manager, and so on. So each time the context changes, all the way up to CEOs, founders, and so on. So where the book is available, it's going to be in ebook and print. It will be on Amazon. Best thing to do really is add me on LinkedIn. Some of you already have. and you will get updates there. And I'll be sure to send something through to Louise if she would kindly share it with you.
I absolutely will. I did share your LinkedIn handle earlier on one of the email communications that I did, but I'm not sure that everybody here got it, so I will make sure that I share it. In fact, I can drop it into the chat right now. I'll do that quickly so that everyone can see. And I just have one last request that I'm going to ask of everybody, if it's okay. Steve, very kindly, I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your screen, and I'm going to come back to a gallery view. And I would like everyone, if you don't mind, I'd like to do a screenshot of everybody who's here today. So would you all, just for a moment, just open your videos and do your nicest smile or your funniest face so that I can make a nice screenshot so I can share it with everyone to show our gratitude for to Steve for being here today. And thank you so much all for participating. So I'll give you 10 seconds to switch on your cameras. Oh, look, don't you all look lovely? There's Peter, there's Irene, there's Becky. Oh, I can see everybody. That's wonderful. Oh, that's so much better. You know, when we're sitting, when we do everything online here at EBU, and in your classes and so on, sometimes you can't see everyone and you're talking and you can just see names, and it's so much nicer when we can see faces. Okay, everybody, get ready. I'm gonna take a picture in a second. So everybody smile. Ready? And I'm gonna do one more. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Wonderful. Oh, you all look lovely. I'll share that with you at the end with the replay. Okay.
Super. Thank you again, everybody, for joining. Please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. Thanks again, Louise, for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I sincerely hope that we'll see you again for perhaps to come into, as you know, we've got some specialist leadership programs here at EBU. So it'd be great if we could bring you in. So I'm sure this is the first, but not the last time that we'll be seeing you here at EBU. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. It was a pleasure to listen. I've certainly got some takeaways today, and I hope that everyone here has as well. Thank you very, very much. To everyone who was present, thank you so much. We cannot do this without our students. Steve is giving us freely of his time, so it's really, really wonderful that you're here to support, to listen, and to create an interesting and and relevant conversation. So I thank you all for taking the time. It's very, very much appreciated. I try to find guests to come in and speak to us, and the best way I can reward them is by giving them a fantastic audience like this. So thank you everybody for your time. I wish you all, I'm sure, as Steve mentioned at the beginning, we're all almost heading into the weekend now. So I wish you all a very pleasant weekend and some rest. And we'll see you all back in your classes next week. Steve, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks again. Good luck with your studies and leadership journey.